I've seen some requests. I see a lot of requests come across Facebook, and sometimes I notice it's hard to even say this because we all want healing for people, and sometimes God gives me a powerful sense that He's going to heal that person, and that's happened for some people I prayed for. They were in hugely difficult conditions. Boy, they bounced right back up, and that was my sense the whole time. Other times I see people praying healing, 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 and I'm like, nope. What you need to be praying is for the grace to let them go. And it's not easy, but you can save everybody a lot of heartache without trying to hang on so hard. And so, it's aligning with Him. It's sensing what He's doing. And you can't do that unless you spend the time with Him. There's some prophetic things that happened in the Old Testament, and this one prophet even got really mad at the other because he had prophesied victory for, it was either Ahab or Ahaz. I always get those mixed up. But he had prophesied victory and made these iron horns that he said, you're going to gore the enemy. And then another king that was allied with him, he said, isn't there a prophet of the Lord here? Because all these other prophets had said, go up, you're going to win, you're going to win. Yeah, go get him, buddy. Yeah, right. And then he said, isn't there a prophet of the Lord here? And he's like, the king says, I think it was Ahab. He said, well, there's one guy, but I hate him because he never says anything good about me. And he says, well, bring him here. Jehoshaphat was with him. He said, well, bring him here. And he says the same. He goes, yeah, go up. You're going to get him. He's like, and then the king says, no, tell me the truth. And he said, okay, the truth is that I saw Israel scattered like sheep on the hills without a shepherd, meaning the king was going to die in battle if he went up. And the other prophet, the one with the iron horns, he's like, well, how did the Spirit of the Lord bypass me to get to you? And he responds, I love this response. He said, you will understand that. You'll perceive it on the day that you go hide yourself in your inner room. Oh, wow. There's this communication and understanding from God that can't be had in the middle of the discussion, and that people who haven't gone and hidden themselves in the inner room, they can see what others can't and perceive what God's really saying.
Oh, that's so good. And, just I've been reading through a lot of the prophets lately myself. And I'm sorry, but some of those prophets were told from the get-go, hey, here's your assignment. You're going to preach the following messages, and nobody's going to listen to you.
Right.
That's not very encouraging for church growth or
goody, lucky me, right?
Not everybody's calling in the ministry is to build, to have numbers. In this case, their calling was simply, this is the message I've given you. Only say what I'm telling you to say, and that's it. And by the way, they're not going to like it, but you're going to still do what I tell you to do. And in this season, that's so important for everybody. Not everybody's mission is the same, but we're all part of the same puzzle, and we all have a piece in that puzzle. And I think some of us are missing that in this season, where there's been a lot of attack. I'll confess, I have struggled at times with depressive thoughts and just, things from the media, things from around different communities I've been in, and people at each other's throats. And it has grieved me. And I've reached out to a few friends that I've just said, hey, I need to talk to you for a minute. Here's what I'm seeing. And they've been a great encouragement and basically saying, hey, you're in the weeds. Get out of the weeds. Get back up to that strategic level. See the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture? And when you can see the bigger picture, that's how you get aligned. But when you're in the weeds, it's easy to get off course. And I've seen it in myself. And so it's reminded me, you said it, and it brought this thought. We're to be doers of the word. And man, a lot of us are really good at being doers. We just want to do.
Right.
But he says, we need to be doers of the word, not just hearers. He's not condemning hearing the word. He's just, for some people, they're not doing it. For others, they're not hearing it. And in order to hear it, you got to listen. And in order to listen, you got to be silent and you got to be still. And you got to understand the voice that of God's Spirit, of God speaking to you. The way he speaks to you may not be the exact same way he speaks to so-and-so. But you got to know that voice and you got to distinguish that voice. Otherwise, you're going to be in the weeds. It's too easy to drift off course. I think that's why Jesus said that the path was narrow, because one misstep and you're on one side of the road, and one misstep you're on the other side of the road.
Huh.
You're in a ditch on either side.
And thank God for his Spirit that is so faithfully brings us back, that we're not trying to get to a place as his kids. We're already his kids, and we're having these experiences as his children.
Yes.
Just thank God. There's not enough gratitude. And speaking of gratitude, there was something you mentioned there that I wanted to talk about for a minute, and that's you were talking about the news, the media, the depression, and it can be very cyclical. I talked about that on the last podcast. That cycle, like a tornado, a hurricane, a cyclone, obviously works on a cycle. And you get caught in that cycle of the bad news coming in, thinking bad thoughts, feeling bad things, and then when you get together with other people, you talk about the bad things, and it makes it worse. And of course, the news plays it over and over and over and over, and you're building a neural network of negativity, right? And something's got to bust that cyclone. But I've been taking, and I haven't told you this before, Dennis, but this is wonderful. I'm so excited about this. But I've been taking a brain health coaching certification course with Dr. Amen, and it's just brilliant. And one of the things that really caught my attention is what he said. Most of us, we know the cerebrum. That's the big, it's like a cauliflower or a coral kind of looking thing. But then at the back of the brain is this little area called the cerebellum. The cerebellum is super cool. It's the place that looks kind of striated. It looks very different from the rest of the brain. Now, it's 10% of the brain size, only 10%, but it contains 50% of the brain's neurons. Okay? Oh, wow. That's significant. Now, we showed 2 SPECT images. We were shown them. And if you don't know what that is, it's an image. It's taken from multiple sides of the brain. And what it shows is activity in the brain based on blood flow to the different regions of the brain. So the one photo, in a state of gratitude, the cerebellum was lit up like a Christmas tree. It was on fire. It was firing on all cylinders. It was just all engaged and active. And that affects a lot of our motor coordination too, and some emotions. And in a situation where a person was in a hateful mode, in a very negative mode, the cerebellum showed no activity.
Wow.
Now, if you're thinking the wrong things and you lose 50% of your brain's capacity. Chuck and I were laughing. We were talking about this before the show, and he said, yeah, it's like we joke about people being brain dead. What were they thinking? Well, the thing is they're not. We get in that negative space. We're not. We just shut down half of our brain. It's like we're not playing with a full deck. But gratitude, boy, that lights it up, and it brings our whole deck back into play.
Oh, that's fantastic. I've got his book too, The End of Mental Illness, his new one. I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that a lot of what you just said, I hope, is in that book. It's on my stack right here.
Nice. His stuff is amazing. I love and appreciate it. And he cares so. He's got such a heart for people, and his work has done things that can really revolutionize lives. It's neat. You'll love it.
Look at that. 10% of the brain, 10% of the brain that maximizes 50% that when just from gratitude.
Right. And that's one of his in the coaching, and he does other things. Occasionally he prescribes things. A lot of supplements can really help. and there's a lot that we're lacking. But one of his therapies, he's big on meditation. But one of them is gratitude. One of them is gratitude, because when gratitude's present, and some people might think, well, hey, I don't have anything to be grateful for. Well, think of everything that's not going wrong. Yeah. Does your electricity work? Does your water turn on do you have food in the house? Do you have a house? Think of all the things that aren't wrong if you're having trouble getting off of the things that are wrong.
Right. And the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. Notice that order. Gratitude is in the joy, and it's with love. But if you don't have gratitude, if you don't have joy, it's very difficult to have peace. You're not at peace.
Yeah, I had not thought of that before.
And the fruit of the Spirit, it's not fruits of the Spirit. It's not 9 fruits. It's
Right.
one fruit with 9 flavors.
Exactly.
It's like an everlasting gobstopper.
Right.
It's like a giant jawbreaker. It's not going anywhere. You throw that in your mouth, and in this case, where you get down to the center and it dissolves, it never dissolves.
Right.
But you still taste all 9 flavors. That's what we have. But we so often forfeit peace because we forget about our joy and the simple things, the simple gratitude. Like my window's right here. I'm pointing right out at it, and I got a tree out there. And in that tree is a blue jay will pop in, or I'll see a cardinal, and I will immediately just light up and just in that moment say, Lord, thank you. I don't know what it is about those 2 birds, but every time I see them, I get excited.
Right.
There's a sense of joy. And I just say, thank you, Lord, for allowing me to see that in that moment. And it's just like the dopamine just starts flowing in that moment. There's that gratitude burst in that moment. Conversations like this, same thing. And so we forfeit our peace when we don't take those moments to be present, and just gratitude that you can write in your journals, and you want to write those down, but you can say them in the moment.
Right.
It's not hard. I think we make things so difficult. I don't know why we do that. I guess, one of the topics we were thinking about talking about was the fundamentals. That's a fundamental. The fundamentals are simple. They're the simple steps to growth. You can't be an artist if you don't know what art is. You can't draw a picture if you don't have paper, if you don't have pencil, if you don't know the mechanics and all of those things. So pick, sports. You can't be a great hitter if you can't swing the bat.
Wow, that is so true. In talking about the bird, I'm a bird watcher. I have been since 8th grade, but you're making me want to come out to Texas and do some birding together. You're over in San Antonio, and you're right in the heart of golden-cheeked warbler and black-cap vireo country. That's really the hill country. There is the only place in the U.S. that they occur, and saw them years ago as a teenager, which is getting me ready for another trip again. But let's I know I'm rabbit trailing there a little bit, but I'd love to do that. Let's talk about it. As soon as the U.S. opens back up. But I want to think about that gratitude. I want to give the listeners and viewers some takeaways, and I think the 2 things I want to ask you, what's on your mind, is so number 1, with the stillness. I meet people all the time. Some are people of faith, some are not people of a similar faith, and they're like, I just can't slow down. They want to slow down, but they really have trouble. It's like, I won't get back into other brain things, but there can be hot areas of the brain that always just keep us going. Have you found any particular things? It could be a spiritual exercise or just everything's a spiritual exercise, but a practical, more everyday kind of exercise that helps to get into that more still place. I know, like you mentioned, the birds. That's a very good thing that can produce gratitude. But do you have any favorites that you like to share with people?
If you really struggle to be still, I uncovered an app in the last month or so. It's called the Pause app.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like a pause button. If you're on your, now I don't believe it's available I think it's just an iTunes app. I don't believe it's available for the other types of phones.
Oh, okay.
But what it does is it looks like a pause button. You download it, and it